Go ahead.
So, good morning, Michelle.
Buenos dias.
I,
Going on. I feel like I'm
I'm
my
so excited
child.
to hear your journey with Southern Cadence Cuisine.
Yeah.
And I've seen your pictures on your website, your food art. It looks like you are a true artist and a master of your craft.
I'm working on it. That's always the goal, to keep on learning new things and getting the right people in the right spots to make it happen. So been
That's
great.
right. So, tell me about that. Like, what do you attribute your growth to?
So I would say, a lot of our growth has really been brand heritage. After folks end up utilizing us or using us for an event, it's kind of proof is in the pudding type of thing. So once they get a taste, whether it's like physically eating it or just like the overall experience, we tend to always get, a ton of repeat business. And also just word of mouth. I always say that's the best type of marketing, is just having your friends say, "Oh my gosh, you have to hire this catering company or go to this cooking school for a cooking class because they're so amazing." So I would say that. I would say definitely brand heritage, just continuing to have a great reputation in the market.
And that's great. And how did you decide to take this leap to become an entrepreneur and just step out on
Hmm.
your
It was I didn't decide it full on. It was definitely decided for me, because
ah,
when I was working at my last corporate job I worked at, and I was the corporate chef for that particular business that I made up that position. I thought it was like, this is it. This is me. I've created this like dream job in my head, and they went for it. They're paying me a good, all the good things, until that dream wasn't their dream anymore. And they were basically like, "Hey, can we see you on Friday?" And then basically told me to kick rocks, and they couldn't afford to have me on payroll anymore. So that was that. So it was the leap that was basically like a kick off the ledge as well. And it's like, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's definitely something that I don't regret. I'm so glad I got to go through that. And if I didn't, I would probably still be selling toilets and appliances, really good at it, but I'd be just doing the same thing I always have, because that was my comfort zone. And I was making some cash doing it, so it was so it was good. But yeah, that's definitely how that transpired for sure.
it's always interesting how sometimes change is forced on us and it's painful in the moment, but that's how we grow, right?
Yep, that's definitely it. That's definitely it. And
But you
this is how
did,
you bounce back from it too.
yeah, and your attitude, but you definitely didn't go get another job. You just decided to start.
Absolutely not. No. So like after I got done ugly crying in my car on the way home, my husband was like, he happened to be off work that day, and he came in and he was like, "This is great." And I'm like, "Hmm? Like, is it because insurance, kids or whatever?" And he's like, this is a good thing. Like, you should take, because I already started my catering company by that time,
Okay.
because that was kind of my client base. It's like affluent people. They end up buying these huge appliance packages, have no idea how to use them. So that's kind of what my idea came from, is let's have a corporate chef on staff to actually, help our clients through that process, and understand how to make the appliance work for them and not the other way around. So that was like kind of my foray into getting into culinary industry, and going to culinary school
Gotcha.
was based off of that idea. And then as I grew within the company, and I was there for 11 years, customers would say, "Oh, can you do a dinner party for us? Or can you do this and that?" And that's kind of how that ball started. So, that ended up being my clientele. So after I officially left, or was told to leave, I just continued that journey, and kind of taking my catering company full time. And it was extremely terrifying, because I didn't know if I could even make it a full time thing. But here we are, rocking and
Yeah,
rolling. Yeah.
that's wonderful. So, if you had to start over again from square one in your business, what's something you would have done differently?
Gosh. I honestly probably would have done this earlier. Like, I think that if that opportunity would have presented itself, or that would have happened earlier, um, I think that would be even better. Like, I love what I'm doing. I love the people that I work with, and I've built a great team. And so I'm just so blessed to be able to experience that, have the flexibility in my career, and to spend time with my kids and family. So I would say I would have definitely jumped into it earlier. Maybe I would have done a few more things in the culinary scene as like a younger adult with no responsibilities or children or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I think that would be what I would do just to get going faster.
That's great. Well, that's wonderful to hear. Clearly you're excelling at what you do and you're enjoying it. That's a wonderful, what a gift, right?
Yes, it's awesome. It's pretty sweet gig.
What about so you mentioned employees. So tell me, what do you look for in employees?
So we actually look for a lot of things. I look for people that aren't just like me because that's,
Oh,
I want to find some employees that might be their strength might be my weakness and vice versa. So I think that helps in their development. And we also have kind of a thing that our company stands by, and we call it Southern Cadence Cares. And it's just like an acronym for making sure that we're customer obsessed. We're, always focused on, bringing the best food quality, whether that's experiential or it's actually like tasting, and just kind of making sure those values align with who I'm interviewing. So, I have a series of questions I ask that are very intentional in and how they answer it, and then that kind of helps me make a decision as to if they will be a good fit or not. And then after that, after they interview with me, we also have them be a part of the team too. So it's just as much an interview for them as it is for us. So our team's able to see, okay, would they fit within our dynamic, our company culture, all that kind of stuff. And then that employee or future employee can also see like, hey, is this a good fit for me? Is this something that I want to be a part of? And so I think it's kind of twofold, making sure that, yeah, they get past that first benchmark, which is me, and then they go on to the team who they be working with day in and day out.
okay. So I have to ask you, have you ever had an employee that you really like, or a potential employee that you really liked, and then the team didn't like, and how did you handle that?
Yes, I have had that happen before, and sometimes it's it might be someone that has really great technique or like very like they're from like fine dining industry, whatever, and I'm really interested in like bringing them on. And then they'll come join the team, whether that's at my cooking school or on the catering side, and the team will be like, they were kind of slow, or oh, sometimes they'll be like, oh, they seem like they have potential, and they're really great at like seeking that out as well. But at the end of the day, I really lean on them to say if they feel like they would work or not, because I already have my core group that I know. They know the expectations we have as a company, and they're able to kind of see that as well. Like, oh, they might not work well, or they're kind of lagging behind. They're not asking the right questions. So I definitely take what they think in more consideration, even myself too. So I think it's as helpful to trust your peeps.
That's great. So what's your biggest learning as an employer then?
Oh, gosh, I learned so much. I would say to lead fearlessly, not to be afraid to have to make hard decisions or have difficult conversations. I used to really shy away from that because I wanted, employees to like me, and I wanted everyone to be like, kumbaya, kuda matata. But at the end of the day, it's still a business and it has to run as such. And so I can't say yes to everything or everyone or every idea. But I do want my employees understand that there is an open door policy. Like I'm always here to listen and to provide feedback, constructive feedback as well. And so I think just learning not to be afraid to potentially lose someone if they don't align with what I want or what my values are, or where the company's going. Because we've had people that have been here for 10 or 11 years and things start to change as we grow, and that would make them uncomfortable and they're really resistant to change. So you end up having to be like, well, it was
Right.
nice, nice seeing you around, but best of luck. But you can't let yourself become stagnant because you're afraid to like lose someone, because there's so many fish in the sea. There's so many people that have awesome resources and great minds. And so to me, it's like maybe it's time to look for other opportunities.
Yeah.
Just, so yeah, that would be what I would say. I would say just being a fearless leader, making sure that I'm not playing into my own emotions with keeping people around longer than they should, or not keeping around someone long enough. Giving everyone an ample amount of opportunity to prove their worth and know how great they are. So
Boy, I understand the tough conversations. The further you get down the road, the bigger your teams build. They
mhm.
become really, really necessary, right? Because I always think it's like an iceberg. Like what you see, that if you got negativity or whatever, the little tip you see on top of the water, there's way more underneath that you're not
Oh
seeing,
yeah,
right?
that's
Have you seen
true.
that?
That's true. Yep, that's so true. And I think, with that, it's also making sure you have people in place to keep a pulse on what's going on. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to necessarily be you, but you do want to have like those meetings, a cadence of meetings every week with your management team and saying, hey, what's going on? How's everybody feeling or whatever. And just kind of making sure that you're kept abreast of things in like a high level. And I think it's been really helpful to make sure we're kind of on top of things, being proactive with whatever people's needs are too.
That's great. So Southern Cadence Cuisine, how did you get the name?
Oh gosh. So Southern Cape, so everyone always thinks Southern Cape. They're like, do y'all do Southern food? Is it like, you know, mac and cheese and comfort food? And I'm like, not really, like we it's Southern in the way of hospitality. So we want to make sure people feel, comfortable, even if it's in their own home or they're having a fine dining experience. We want that Southern hospitality. We're always going to leave your space better than what we found it, type of thing, making sure we know your name and what you like and all that. So that part is kind of ingrained in us as a company. And then Cadence was actually my husband and I's first dog we bought together.
Aw,
We're animal people. So she is a chocolate lab. And so this will be great. I was like, we're thinking like Southern Cadence cuisine is like we're kind of cooking to our own beat because Cadence also is like a
yeah,
beat of a drum. So we're
yes.
cooking to our own beat and it's very, hospitable. We're Southern belles down here. So
That's
that's kind of where
great.
it came.
I
Yeah.
love it. And what sets your business apart from your competitors?
I actually, there's a lot of things, but what I will say is that I'm not a manager or boss or business owner that feels like I have to be in competition with any other business because there's so many different businesses that are specialized in so many different things, and there's enough food for us all to eat, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
so I really value partnerships in the industry as well, even if they are in the same industry. And I think just our flexibility of catering to the client in a literal sense, what's been your favorite meal over the years?
Mm,
Where'd you last travel? And being able to create menus based off of someone's like um, love, because you cook with love and you see with your eyes and all that good stuff. So I
yeah.
think just being able to interview the client and not just being selling them something, not just saying, oh, a raw bar sounds delicious. You should do oysters in the middle of summer, but even though your venue has no AC and it's in a barn, like let's do it. It's a great, so you're trying to make sure that your client is getting their return on their investment, and they're understanding that we're considering all their needs before just trying to get them going and get an invoice, chew them out the door. So,
Nice.
yeah, I think that's it.
I like that creativity and custom. And I also like what you said about like in our action coach culture too, it's a culture of abundance. There's enough out there for everybody. It's not scarcity.
Mhm.
Like I better get mine because otherwise
Right.
somebody else is going to get it. That's a
Sure.
great attitude. All right. So really important question now.
Oh,
Have you ever in the heat of the moment when the pressure's on and you got to get the food out the door and something went wrong, have you ever thrown a piece of meat across across the kitchen?
no, I'm very much not like my catering manager and myself. Neither one of us are big like yellers or like, I'm more stern. Like if I'm at work and I know we have to hit a time, I'm like, hurry up, guys, like expeditious, like pick up the pace or whatever. But I've never like really yelled at anyone or threw anything. This is not. it's not my vibe. And a lot of times you see that a lot of restaurant chefs, because that's the culture that's been created in
Yeah.
that industry. But for me, it's like, it's food, guys. Like, pipe it down a notch. We do want to be, we want to make sure we're being timely and we're getting our timelines and they're tight, but I also want to treat, people with respect. I wouldn't want people to throw anything at me. If they did, there'd be some problems. So
Yeah.
so I try to make sure to treat, everyone like I want to be treated, even if I am your boss or not.
I like it. I like it. And that's how you keep your employees and motivate them too, right?
Yeah, no one wants to get yelled at and, picked on. So
No, I don't think it adds any value or urgency, frankly. I think it shuts people down. So
right.
Ratatouille, yes or no?
The movie or the food?
The movie. I'll go movie and
The
food.
movie, the movie is amazing. I love Ratatouille. The food's good. The Ratatouille is a good dish too. We actually have we make that one of our cooking classes at Well Done, so people tend to like it and make it all pretty. We kind of played ours like a tartine, but yeah, I like both of them
That's
wholeheartedly.
awesome. I know. I definitely not on my list of questions, but I wanted to know. Okay, last question. What's your vision for your business? What's it look like when it's finished, or what do you want to impact on the world?
Gosh, I really want to create a legacy for my family. I want my boys to know that they too can be business owners if they choose to.
Hmm.
Um, I also don't want my business to begin and end with me. So that's why I feel like it's so important to have the right people on your team that can take it on to the next level. I don't necessarily want to be cooking when I'm 60 in the kitchen. I want to um, make sure I'm developing people in a way that they're able to take it on if they would like. We definitely promote within. So to me, it's like, okay, do you want your own location? Do you want to run the business or what have you? So recently we've hired employees to kind of manage our cooking school and also manage the catering side of the business too. And I think it's really helpful when it creates a sense of ownership within our team. So I would say definitely legacy building and just making sure that it doesn't die with me. If I'm not coming to your house cooking, that's okay because they're excited to see Jamie, Oscar, and Taylor come instead. So I
Yeah,
think that would be what I would say.
that is fabulous. Well, thank you so much for the time, Michelle, and I can't wait to come try your food somewhere.
Yeah, sure, we love it. Let us know whenever you
Oh,
need a catering need.
that's a
Holler
deal.
at you. Holler at your girl.
Thank you.
All right, Warren. Thank you.